Joining us now is Ned Price, former spokesperson and senior official at both the State Department and CIA. He's also former special assistant to President Obama. Ned, it's great seeing you. I thank you for your time. I want to get your reaction first to what's been going on and what happened in Saudi Arabia, the Ukrainian agreement to unilaterally go into a ceasefire.
Well, Jose, I think Richard put it well. This is a positive step. It's a positive first step, in large part because it does flip the script. It puts the onus on the Russians for once during this administration, which is a good thing. But again, this is only a first step, and I mean that in two ways. In the first instance, of course, President Putin and the Russians ultimately have to accede to this proposal, and I think there are reasons to doubt that they will accede outright. But second of all, I think we need to think about this solely as an interim deal. And I say that because a frozen conflict, essentially freezing the front lines, is not the ultimate basis for a just peace, neither a just nor durable peace. And a just peace, in order for a peace to be just, it needs to make a clear distinction between victim and aggressor. It needs to make a clear distinction in this case between the Russians that precipitated this aggression and invasion in the first instance, and the Ukrainians, whose country has been destroyed, whose economy is in tatters, whose children have been kidnapped. Now, if this interim 30-day ceasefire can be built upon by the parties, and by the parties I mean the Ukrainians, the Russians, the Europeans, and the Americans, in order to look like something that more closely resembles a just peace, that ultimately will be a good thing. I think there are reasons to doubt we will see that, many of which will ultimately emanate from Moscow.
You know, and Ned, yet the fact that we are seeing what is, for the first time since the Russians invaded Ukraine, some possible movement. I mean, just the fact that Ukraine is interested in maybe a ceasefire, this whole joint venture with the United States that seems to be on hold. Yes, no, we don't know what that situation is like. But the fact that there is this movement, does it not give you hope?
Look, it does, Jose. I think certainly this is a good thing, and certainly it will be a better thing if it can be built upon as the basis for a just and durable peace. Now the ball moves to Moscow, and I think my skepticism is really born of what I expect we will see from Moscow. Look, Jose, I think it's quite unlikely that we will hear an outright no or niet from Vladimir Putin. And I say that because Putin recognizes that he has a very good thing going with President Trump in this White House, a thing he worked to ultimately achieve in 2016 and to varying degrees in 2020 and 2024. And he doesn't want to squander that entirely. I expect we'll hear something more like a yes, but from the Kremlin. And as always, the devil is going to be in the details. I think we need to be on the lookout for the Kremlin to say, essentially, we'll accede to this deal, but only if X, Y, and Z. And I think in that case, we need to remember that the White House certainly didn't give any incentives to Ukraine to agree to this proposal. Quite to the contrary, they actually put pressure on Ukraine. And I think we need to be very wary of this White House's, I think, eagerness potentially give incentives to Moscow to agree to this. The deal should be what's on the table for Russia to agree to or to reject. I certainly hope they agree to it. I fear, however, they might do otherwise.
Yeah, and, you know, if history is a prologue, I think that incentives or lack of them, starting in 2014, with how Russia acted in Ukraine, hopefully will not be an impediment to the future. Ned Price, it's great seeing you. I really appreciate your time. Good to see you.